Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. I hope that you're having a great day. Today is the second installment of my Knit and Chat series and also my second video on this channel. I am really excited to get into this. I'm hoping that I have a little bit better audio today because I'm using a microphone. But it's not the greatest microphone, so I don't know. We'll have to see. But today I have lots of updates and things to talk about with my knitting, a little bit of crochet. I am primarily a vintage knitter, so you will see lots of vintage projects in this video. Grab a cup of something nice to drink and let's get right into it. So the first thing that I want to touch on is my stash busting. I started stash busting a long time ago, but I started seriously stash busting at the beginning of January. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to make a separate video about it or not. Let me know if you'd like to see it in a separate video. But for now, I'm just going to talk about it here in this video. It's really embarrassing, but I started 2025 with 165 skeins of yarn. I am not proud of that at all, and I absolutely don't want to have that many skeins of yarn unused, which is why I'm stash busting. I don't calculate my yarn in terms of like how many 50-gram balls it is or 100-gram balls. This is one skein. This is one skein. I don't see any reason to spend a ton of time calculating that kind of stuff when I could better spend that time knitting and crocheting. So I apologize if that is not something that you like, but personally that's how I do it, so that's just how I'm going to talk about it. In January, I did buy 2 new skeins. I am generally on a yarn ban. I am allowed to buy yarn for projects when I run out, if I'm in the middle of a project, or just in general to complete a project, I can buy new yarn, and that's about it, with an exception in February that we will get to. But so January, I bought 2 new skeins of yarn because, and I'll talk about this project in a little bit, but I had a project that I had half of the yarn for, and so I was just buying the other half. So those skeins were new, but it was for a project, so that's okay. And then I used up 3 skeins of yarn. So it came out to be 1 skein of yarn used total after the fact of the 2 new acquisitions. And then in February, I bought just 1. It's a very big skein of yarn though. It is a ball of crochet cotton. I believe it's 2,000 yards. I could put a picture up. It's 2,000 yards of crochet cotton that I plan to make 2 separate projects out of and then dye them, because the yarn is white. That I bought because, as you may know, if you are also a crafter, Joann Fabrics is closing, which is really unfortunate. It really, I don't know, it stinks to not have that resource anymore. I am lucky to have a Michaels nearby. I will still be able to get my hands on yarn, but fabric is going to be a little more difficult, and so it just sucks to not have that anymore. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably already know about that. Things were on sale at my Joann's, so I decided to buy that. That is the only thing that I bought in February, and I used up 4 skeins. So between January and February, I used 7 skeins, and then I bought 3 skeins. So that evens out to like a net of 4 used up. Not very good progress. My goal is to use 60 skeins by the end of the year. I'm really not doing too good, but I don't foresee myself buying any more yarn for at least a few months because I have no reason to buy more yarn. I need to get a move on with my knitting and my crochet if I want to hit that goal by the end of the year. I know it's only March, but I still need to pick up the pace if I want to use up 60 skeins by the end. I think we'll just get into recent updates. So my first project I forgot to grab, so I will put pictures and things up, but my first project is I finally finished my Conquest cardigan. I'll start with a picture of what the original like pattern picture is. My Conquest cardigan was one of my goals for the year. In my last knit and chat where I talked about all of my knitting and crochet plans, I talked about how I wanted to finish this cardigan because I've been working on it forever. It was the first vintage pattern that I cast on, and it took me 2 years, almost 2 years in April, to finally get around to finishing it and casting off and sewing it all together and everything. Absolutely ridiculous, I know, but I finally finished it. And it's really, really nice to have that off my plate. I'll put pictures and videos here. It is a 1940s pattern. It is called the just Conquest by Cynthia Mills of Boston. This pattern I got somewhere online. I believe it's linked in the Ravelry somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where I got this pattern, so I do apologize for not having that information. I found a picture, I think on Instagram, of someone who had this cardigan, and I absolutely loved it. So 2 years ago, I cast it on. It was my very first vintage project, and I was so excited to be working on it. And then at some point, it just got really, really boring, and I couldn't stand working on it anymore. And so it kind of languished, and I picked other projects over that one, and just never got around to finishing it. But then it hit January this year, and I decided I need to finish this. I have to finish this, or it's never going to get done. This is ridiculous at this point. I can't do this. I finally sat down. I finished the knitting in January, and then kind of on and off worked on seaming it up through February. And then this last Sunday, today is Tuesday the 4th, so that would have been March 2nd, I finally put on the buttons and put on the last sleeve, and it was done. So that is so nice to have off my plate. I'm so happy that I'm done with it. We'll talk about the yarn, but I don't really have a lot to say about it. So this is the yarn. I have a few more skeins of this, so I'm planning to use it for another project soon. I really don't have much that I can tell you about this yarn. This is thrifted, and I have absolutely no information about the brand. If there was a brand, I don't know, it might have been hand spun or something, about like the colorway or anything. I think it's a sport weight by my estimate, and it is a nice brown color. There was 10 skeins of this in the bag that I found. Me and my sisters, 2 years ago, we were in a thrift store and we found like 10 or so really big bags of this yarn. They were in hank form and they had like no labels or anything, so I don't think the thrift store knew what they were. So they were $5 a bag. And some of these bags had like 10 skeins, 14 skeins. I think one that my sister got had like 18 skeins in it for $5. It was like the find of the century. I did a burn test on this yarn, and it is some kind of natural fiber. No idea what kind. Some kind of like animal hair fiber. No idea what kind. I don't know anything about the yarn. I just know that it was a great deal, and I scooped it up. I have this one and then 4 more of this brown color, and then I also have 2 of the big bags left of different kinds of yarn. There's like a lighter brown and then a kind of beige color, and then those are in different weights. One is a fingering weight and one is kind of a DK weight. Yeah, that is yarn that I'm slowly working my way through. It is a little bit itchy, so I am maybe gonna have to shift around my plans for the patterns. I did have a couple of like kind of t-shirt patterns, ones that you would wear close to your skin, and I'm a little worried that those would be really itchy and that I'd never wear them. So I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do, just because when I wore this Conquest cardigan for the first time, I did notice it was pretty itchy. Even though I had a shirt on under, it was still a little bit scratchy, so I'm worried about how it would be against skin. But other than that, awesome yarn. I'm very excited that I found that, and now I'm just trying to work through it. So that is my first finished object to talk about. My next one is an update. It's not a finished object. The last time that I was here, in my last knit and chat, I was working on a cardigan, which I am now done knitting on, and now I'm just like seaming it up. As much as I try otherwise, I don't really like seaming things up. Which is silly because I sew, and not just sew, but I like hand sew pretty often. So I don't know why I have such an aversion to seaming up my knitting projects, but it's taking a little while. This is the cardigan. It is a cabled cardigan. It's another vintage pattern. I think it's 1940s. The pattern is called the Cable Stitch Jacket by the Spool Cotton Company. I will link it down below, but the pattern I got from a private Facebook group. I am Gen Z. I don't use Facebook, but I heard that there was this Facebook group that has vintage knitting patterns, like free vintage knitting patterns. So I got Facebook to get the knitting patterns. If I'm able to link that group, I will down below. I know sometimes they close to members, so there was a while when I couldn't join, but I've gotten a lot of really great patterns from that group. It's just a cabled cardigan. It will have sleeves. They're just not attached right now, but they're cute little puffed sleeves. I will put a picture up of what it will look like. The yarn is Loops and Threads Impeccable. It's like just a Michael's acrylic yarn, but it's really soft, and I had a lot of it in my stash from a long time ago, like around the beginning of my knitting. And since I'm stash busting, I was trying to get through those. So it is acrylic, but I think it's nice. It's soft. It's comfortable. It is a worsted weight. Oh, it's in the color Thunder. It's a worsted weight yarn held double, so I used 4 skeins of it for this, and it comes out to be this really nice, thick, and squishy fabric. I just have to finish sewing it up, and then it's done. I don't know why I've been procrastinating on it so much. I need to get to it. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I need to get to it. I need to finish it. It's almost done. So I just wanted to update about that project because that is going slowly, but it is off the needles now. And the last time you saw me, it was the project that I was knitting. So the next thing I want to talk about is my new cast-ons. Listen, I'm trying not to cast on new things super often, but sometimes I am weak. I don't know, is crochet, it's not casting on when you start it. I don't know. This is a crocheted project. This is called the Afternoon Blouse. Put a picture of it up. And this is a crocheted sweater. This is how mine is turning out. You knit the waistband, so you can see I started with knitting, and then you pick up from the waistband and crochet. And I am knitting it with another thrifted yarn that I have nothing that I can tell you about, but it is this like gray kind of mohair texture, a little thicker than mohair, but like a fluffy gray yarn. And then also this is what my January yarn purchases were for, was this project. This is a mohair yarn. This is the Hobie, I think is how you say that, Hobie Diablo yarn in pale lilac. I got 2 skeins of this. This is going good. It's going a little bit slowly, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be able to finish this by the time that there's still cold weather. It's coming along slowly. Last time I saw you, I was talking about how I was going to try not to cast it on when the yarn came in, but that if you saw purple yarn, you would know that I was weak. Yeah, I was weak. I just really, really wanted to cast it on. And so I did. The waistband I held the mohair double to knit, and then for the crochet part, I'm holding it single. That's just how it looked the best and how it was working the best. The only thing with this project is that I'm a little afraid that I'm going to run out of yarn. This is a long sleeve sweater, and I don't know. I'm a little fearful, but thankfully Hobie yarn goes on sale all the time. It was pretty inexpensive regardless, but I got it on sale for like half off. And I think it's half off again. I don't think I'm too worried about that, but that is my first new cast on. Okay, the other one I have to go grab. It's right behind me, but I forgot to bring it over here earlier when I was collecting all of my projects. So this is another new cast on. I feel less guilty about this one because this is one that I said if I cast off 2 sweaters, then I could cast this one sweater on. And that's kind of what I'm going to try and do going forwards, is only cast on something new when I've already cast off 2 other things. That way I'm like whittling away at my huge pile of works in progress and doing things at a more reasonable rate. But this is a sweater vest. I'm not entirely sure when this pattern is from, possibly the 1930s? I'm not sure. I'll put it up with the picture of the original pattern. But this is a cabled sweater vest. It is one of the only vintage patterns that I've ever seen call for circular needles, which I thought was really interesting. Oh, the pattern is Donault? I'm not really sure. Donault 2711 by Jack Frost. I am knitting it with this really beautiful blue yarn. I love this color so much. Blue is my favorite color, so I saw this yarn and I knew that I wanted to knit something with it. And then I found this pattern and I was like, yeah, that's it. So this is the Loops and Threads Luxe Merino. It's a wool blend. I think it's like 50% wool, 50% acrylic or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. This is in the color Celestial Blue, and I have 2 skeins of this. This is a really fun pattern, especially because there's not a lot of purling in it. The waistband, of course, took forever. That's one thing about vintage knitting, is that they love a big ribbed waistband. So that does take forever, but I always end up doing it because I love how it looks and I'm never going to stop. You just cable once every 8 rounds, and then other than that, it's just knitting following the stitches. And it has these interesting cables. These are, I don't know, it's a cable pattern I've never really seen before, but they come out really pretty. So I'm having a great time with this pattern. I was knitting on it this morning. That's why it was over by my couch. But that was my second new cast on. I'm hoping to get it done relatively soon, hopefully while there's still cooler weather, so that I can wear it at least twice before it starts to warm up. The next thing that I want to talk about is my plans going forward for this month. I just want to touch on a couple of things that I'm planning for this month, planning to work on. It is the 4th, like I said earlier, so we're already a little bit into March, but I just want to talk about a couple of things that I am working on and thinking about. So the first thing that I really want to focus on this month is finishing up projects that have been languishing. Projects that I only have to seam up and then they'll be done and wearable, or projects that I haven't picked up or looked at in a really long time. I want to work on those kinds of things. I probably should have done that last month for Finish It February, but I didn't think of that. So that's my focus for March. That cabled sweater, the jacket, this gray jacket, is one of my projects that I want to finally seam up and have done. There's also a couple other sweaters that the only thing I still have to do is seam them up. I think there's 2 of them. There's a purple sweater, which I finished probably a year ago and just haven't gotten around to finishing it. Like, it's off my needles. I cast it off so long ago, but it's still just sitting in a bag, unfinished. I don't know why. I don't know why I never got around to it. So that is something that I really want to work on this month, is finishing that. There's also a black sweater that I finished forever ago. Same thing, just needs to be seamed up. I actually think most of it is already seamed. I don't know what is the matter with me, to be honest. Things like that I really want to work on. I want to seam things up, finish them. Hopefully I can come to you next month with a lot of finished objects to talk about, some of which have been just sitting around for forever. So the next thing that I want to focus on in March is making progress on the Moby Sweater that I am knitting. This is a project that I also talked about in my last video. This is the Moby Sweater, the men's version, by Petite Knit. And this is a sweater that I'm knitting for my husband. I've knit him one other sweater, and then this is my second one. And this is honestly going to be probably the greatest sweater I have ever knit. So this is what I have so far. Oh, that looks really good on camera, actually. Yeah, this is what I have so far. I have got all of my German short rows done. I have a good amount done on the back, and then I started on the shoulder. You pick up for, I think, the left shoulder and then the right shoulder, and then you do the front and then joining the round, I think. And I just finished the shoulder, and I haven't touched this in a little while, but I want to and I need to. I'm using the same yarn as that blue sweater vest that I showed you, just in a different color. Loops and Threads Luxe Merino in the color Navy. And I think I have 5 skeins of this. 4 or 5 skeins, I'm not entirely sure. And I'm keeping it in this cute little basket. I don't have all of the skeins in that basket, that's why I don't know for sure how many I have, but I have a couple of them for that project. I just want to make some progress on that. I was kind of hoping to get it done before this trip that my husband is going on, and I was hoping to get it done so he could wear it for that. That's in like 3 weeks. I don't think that I can knit that sweater in 3 weeks. It's a very complex sweater. It's one of the most difficult things that I've ever knit because there's just so much going on. There's so many textures with it. And I had never done German short rows on a sweater before. I've done them on socks, but never on a sweater. There's a lot of picking up stitches, and it's a kind of weird construction to what I'm used to. I don't think I'll be able to finish it by then, but we'll see. I don't know. And then the next thing that I want to work on is, these two kind of go hand in hand. I have 2 crochet shirts that I am working on for summertime because I realized last summer that I have basically no clothes for summertime. I hate summer, and so I don't like to think about summer, and so I make clothes for winter and fall and spring, and then it comes to summertime, I'm like, oh, I have nothing to wear, and I cycle through like the same 3 outfits. Or I did. Last summer I did thrift a few more like shirts and things. Mainly my problem is shirts. But I decided that I wanted to make more summer clothes, even though I hate summer, just so that I have more to wear and so that I'm not stuck with the same like 3 or 4 shirts. So I'm making 2 vintage crochet shirts. This is the first one, and these are things that I want to focus on in March so that I have them done in time for summer, because these take a very long time to make. So I want to make them a little bit ahead of time so that they're ready, you know? So this is the first one. This is definitely not my usual colorway, but I love the colors. I don't know why, but I think they're so pretty. This is the yarn. This is done in crochet cotton, which I had never thought about using for clothing before, but that's what the pattern calls for. So this is the yarn. It is the Aunt Lydia's like classic size 10, I think, crochet thread in the color Ocean. I got 4 skeins of this, and I think that's going to be plenty. it's just this beautiful like blue and green and purpley pink colorway. I don't know what it is about this, but I love it so much. I'm not usually like a variegated or bright color kind of person. Something about this is just beautiful. I love it. It has like a kind of moss stitch waistband and then a like shell pattern body. It is taking a long time. I did, as you can see from my skein, I did have to unravel it and restart. I made it just according to the gauge the first time, and it was way too small. I was hoping that I might be able to pull it off because with a lot of my patterns, I am able to pull off the smaller size and still wear it. I hate math. I will do anything that I possibly can to avoid having to do math. And so I don't like to do pattern alterations. I'm also just scared because I don't really know how that works. Usually I try and just pull off the smaller size, and most of the time it works. This time, however, it was about half the size of my waist. So I got to a certain point and was like, yeah, there's no way that this can work. I'd been thinking like, maybe I could block it out. And then I pulled it out to work on it again, and I was like, no, when did I think that this would ever block out to double the size? So I did unravel it, and I made some alterations to the pattern, and now here we are. It is coming along nicely. I'm almost caught up to where I was before. I don't know why I got so far into the pattern without deciding that I was being a little bit delusional. That is that pattern. I love how it's turning out so far. Oh, I didn't talk about what the pattern is. I'm so sorry. The pattern is the Valentine Pullover number 1177 by the Spool Cotton Company. It is a 40s, I think, pattern, and I believe that it's free on the Ravelry page. I just was looking for potential shirt options, and I found this pattern. I saw one of the people who made it, and I just loved it. I loved how their version of it looked. So I wanted one of my own. I really love it. I think it's beautiful, and I can't wait to wear it. It's going to be a nice statement piece for me. And then a similar project that I'm working on is another crochet top. This one it's called the Lovely Ladies Top. This one is also linked on the Ravelry page for free. And this is a 1950s pattern. Something about me is that I don't really like 1950s clothes. I know that's a controversial opinion. 50s clothes are way more popular than 40s or 30s clothes. I don't know. I just don't really love them most of the time. I'm very much a 30s and 40s vintage lover. But something about this pattern I just loved. And one of the people who made it, their version of it is much more 40s looking in my opinion. And so I just fell in love with it. I wanted to have it. So I actually have a good amount of it so far. This is what I have. I'm making it in loops and threads, crochet cotton, crochet thread in the color natural. I just have one skein of this because it is one of the like 1,000 yard balls of yarn. This is how it looks so far. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. I still have quite a bit to go, obviously, to have a full shirt, but it's coming along nicely. I think it's just beautiful. I can't wait to wear this in summer. This is like kind of the opposite of that other shirt. This is a very basic color. And so while that one is a statement piece, this one is very much, I think, going to be a staple. This is really just going to be a shirt that I can throw on with a lot of things, pair it with a lot of my skirts and more colorful things. And it's also going to be really nice for the summer because it's very airy and cotton, so breathable. Yeah, it's like very open, so I'll definitely need to wear a slip under this, but I think it's amazing. I want to make progress on both of those shirts this month so that I will have them ready soon because I think it's going to start warming up, unfortunately. I have just one more thing to talk about. In March, I really want to revive this project. The pattern name is a Tea Time Jumper. It is by Best Way. This pattern, I got it from that same Facebook group. I think there are other places where you can get it. I think there's also a like modern reproduction book that has this pattern in it, which is where I first started knitting it from, and then I found the original pattern and I want to knit it from the original. I started knitting this a year ago. It's got like a nice lacework design on it, kind of little triangles. The last time I worked on it, which is the reason why I haven't worked on it in a really long time, I made a mistake somewhere and it was really discouraging, and so I didn't really want to work on it. I just felt so frustrated about it, and so I haven't touched it in a long time. Somewhere I just did something wrong and the little lacework stitches are off. I don't know. I also have a tiny bit of the front waistband that I started because waistbands take forever. I just need to pick this up again. I really want the sweater. I love the yarn, which I'll talk about in a second. I want this sweater so badly. I just need to get past the discouragement that I was having the last time I worked on it and finally get back to working on it. And I don't think it's going to be a difficult pattern once I get back to things. So I don't know. That's something that I am hoping to get to this month. I'm probably going to have to put in a lifeline and unravel a lot to fix my mistake because there are multiple rows that are messed up. So that's the reason why I haven't touched this in so long. But this is Cascades Heritage, the fingering weight version. This is in the color Passion Flower. It's just a beautiful purple color. I don't have much purple in my wardrobe and I really want to, so this is one of my attempts. I don't have much color in my wardrobe in general, and that is something that I've been really drawn to in my last few yarn purchases, is getting more colorful yarn because it's more interesting to knit than just like gray and black and brown, but also it's more interesting to wear, and I want to wear more color. I just don't really have a lot of color. So this is one of my attempts at that. I also want to show off these true vintage buttons that I found to go with it. I think you could see on the original pattern picture, but this has a row of buttons on the front. So I got these really beautiful purple buttons. I felt so excited when I found these. These are vintage and they're purple. Like, the stars aligned for them to work with this sweater, and I think they're going to be so beautiful. I'm so excited about it. I need to get back to working on this. So that is the last thing that I want to focus on for March. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. A lot of things that I wanted to discuss, but that's everything, I think. I have a lot that I'm excited for this month, to knit, to work on, hopefully to finish a lot of these things. And I hope that the next time I come back, I will have lots and lots to talk about and to show off to you. Hopefully this video is a little higher quality than the first one. I'm still learning how to make these videos. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know what you're working on, what you're excited to work on this month. I will have patterns linked down below, mostly to the Ravelry pages, I think, because I can't link to all of the patterns. I will also have linked below my other channels if you're at all interested in those. I have a reading channel and a writing channel, and also my Instagram and TikTok will be down below if you want either of those. I haven't been posting a lot on either of those, but I think I might start again. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me to just yap and talk about knitting projects and everything that's going on. I hope you're having a great day, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.